There is something deeply unsettling happening on the internet right now. And it is not just another influencer drama. It is something darker, a story that twists the line between fame and motherhood, between care and exploitation. Because what we are witnessing is a woman turning her own child into a paycheck. Not long ago, Chrisean rock was trending again, but this time, not for her music, not for her fights, but because of her little boy, Junior. The internet was in disbelief. She appeared on yet another live stream, dragging him along, and what people saw there left them speechless. Imagine this, a chaotic live stream filled with noise, laughter, and flashing lights. In the middle of all that chaos, a baby boy sits there, his tiny head moving uncontrollably, his eyes unfocused, confused, lost. And next to him, his mother, smiling for the camera. People said it felt like watching someone use their child as a prop, a way to get extra clicks, extra sympathy, extra money. She was charging creators to appear on their live streams, and the more emotional or viral it looked, the higher the price. Let that sink in. The same woman who once denied that her son had special needs, is now using his visible struggles to draw engagement. The backlash was instant. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, every corner of the internet was on fire. Comments flooded in like a tidal wave of disbelief. Why would she even bring him here? He looks scared. That baby should be at home, not on a live stream. People were begging, literally begging, for someone to step in. Someone even said, he is not a toy, but she holds him like one. And it was true. Viewers watched in horror as she held him carelessly, his head dropping as she laughed and argued on camera, more focused on the live chat than her child's needs. This was not an isolated moment. Oh no, this was a pattern. Because this was not the first time Chrisean brought Junior to one of her chaotic streams. In fact, just days earlier, she had done the same thing on another creator's stream, and the same thing happened again. The same confusion in the boy's eyes. The same crowd of viewers watching helplessly through a screen. People remembered when Blueface, yes, her ex, called her a bad mother. Back then, everyone thought he was exaggerating. But now, people are starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, he was telling the truth about something after all. It gets darker. Reports surfaced that she had already been accused of leaving Junior with family members who were unfit to care for him, and there were even disturbing rumors about his health that people could hardly bring themselves to repeat. And yet, despite all that, she continues to bring him online, smiling, acting unbothered, claiming everyone is judging her. She says, "Pray for me." But the internet responds, "We are praying for your child." The very next day, after the outrage, she did it again. Another live stream. Another performance. Another round of comments flooding in. At this point, people began to realize, she is not ignoring the backlash. She is fueling it. The controversy itself became her content. Every scandal, every criticism, it just meant more engagement, more money, more fame. She has turned her own motherhood into a spectacle. This is not just about one mother and her child. It is about the internet's growing addiction to pain, chaos, and spectacle. Every click, every share, every "did you see that?" keeps feeding the very behavior we claim to hate. Because if nobody watched, she would stop. But we do watch. We watch with shock, disgust, pity, but we still watch. Maybe Chrisean does not see it, maybe she has convinced herself that this is love, that showing her son to the world is some form of connection. But what the world sees is a tragedy unfolding in real time. A mother blinded by fame. A child caught in the storm. And an audience, all of us, trapped between sympathy and morbid curiosity. Because in 2025, going viral is not just a career. It is a curse. And Junior is paying the price. There are moments that make even the most desensitized corners of the internet stop and stare. And this was one of them. Because while Chrisean was on a live stream, loud, laughing, talking her talk, her baby boy, Junior, was sitting outside, locked in a car, under the brutal heat of the sun. Let that sink in for a second. She was inside arguing with Blueface, a man who is literally in jail, while her son cried helplessly in the back seat of a parked car. And when the chat started flooding with comments like, "Where's your baby?" and "Is that your son crying?" she shrugged it off. She actually told one of the Twitch employees to go check on him so she could keep talking to Blue. Imagine saying that on camera. Imagine doing that, while thousands of people are watching live. Within minutes, the internet turned on her. Viewers reported her for child neglect right there on stream. And Twitch moved fast. They banned her account. Just like that. But instead of remorse, she came back online the next day denying everything. She said it was exaggerated, blown out of proportion. But people had seen it. There was no editing, no manipulation, it happened live. The betrayal people felt was real. Because Chrisean had gone from being a messy celebrity to something far more disturbing, other people were now afraid for her child to be around. And if you thought that was rock bottom, oh no. That was just the surface. Because what came next sounded like something straight out of a chaotic reality show, except this time, it was real life. You remember how people said she kept leaving Junior with her dysfunctional family so she could handle business? Well, turns out, that was not a rumor. Police reports confirmed that her sister, Tranche, actually refused to give Junior back. Yes, a literal hostage situation over unpaid babysitting money. It started simple. Chrisean promised to pay Tranche $15,000 to look after Junior while she was gone. The deal was clear: Tranche takes care of him, keeps him safe, and gets paid when Chrisean returns. But of course, this is Chrisean. Things never go as promised. Days turned into weeks. The groceries ran low. Diapers ran out. And Tranche realized she was taking care of a baby alone, while the mother who owed her 15 grand was out there living her best life online. So when Chrisean finally showed up, no money, no apology, no accountability, Tranche lost it. She stood at that doorway, eyes burning with exhaustion, and said the words that would set everything off: "You are not taking this child until you pay me what you owe." When officers arrived, the scene was pure chaos. What should have been a calm conversation turned into shouting, crying, confusion. Tranche was done being painted as the villain. She screamed that she was not a babysitter, not a kidnapper, just a mother herself trying to survive. "I got 6 kids of my own," she yelled. "I don't need this drama. I just want what's fair." And then she said something that stopped everyone cold, even in the worst storm. Sean groaned. This was the lesson my baby needed. Nobody even knew who she was talking about: herself, her sister, or that poor baby boy. But in that moment, one thing was clear: this family had completely fallen apart. And like clockwork, the internet devoured it. Clips from that night started spreading faster than wildfire. And just when people thought it could not get any messier, Tranche's daughter, Destiny, entered the chat. She went online and dropped what felt like a manifesto. Her words were sharp, calm, and devastating. She mocked Chrisean's earlier comments about her mother being broke, writing, "Huh? What? Could you please repeat that?" Then she went in. "It is quite absurd how you become so upset over my mother not taking your side. You must acknowledge your mistakes and comprehend them. You wish to continue discussing finances when it has never been about money. Financial issues have never been a concern for us, and if we find ourselves lacking, we will manage to obtain it, with you being the last resort, and truly never an option." That post hit. It was not just about babysitting money, it was about respect. About dignity. About finally standing up to the storm that Chrisean had become. From there, social media turned into a battlefield. TikTok threads, Twitter spaces, YouTube reactions, everyone had an opinion. Some people defended Tranche, saying she was the only one who stepped up when Chrisean disappeared. Others accused her of crossing the line by keeping Junior away. And then there were the cynics, the ones who said, "They are all toxic." Everyone was dissecting everything, from the police bodycam clips to the tone of Destiny's posts. The story stopped being about a family fight, and became a mirror reflecting how broken fame can make people. Because at its core, this is not just about a celebrity. This is about a baby growing up in chaos. A family unraveling under the weight of viral fame. And a world that cannot stop watching. What shocked people most was not just the chaos itself, it was how public the chaos became. This was not a private argument. It was not whispered behind closed doors. It was broadcast, lived, in real time, before millions. Every live stream became a battlefield. Every Instagram story, another confession. Every tweet, another wound ripped open for the world to watch and dissect like it was entertainment. That is the curse of fame, isn't it? When your real life starts performing for the audience, and you cannot tell where the pain ends and the content begins. A child's tears become trending topics. A family's trauma becomes someone else's reaction video. And healing? That becomes impossible, because you cannot heal from something that everyone keeps replaying. Behind the glossy filters and angry lives, whispers started leaking out. People close to the family began to speak, not out of hate, but exhaustion. They said Tranche had always been the responsible one. The one who covered the bills when everyone else was broke. The one who took in other people's children when she could barely afford her own. She was not perfect, no one is, but she carried everyone until her back finally broke. Meanwhile, Chrisean was seen bouncing between cities, posting about new music, expensive shoes, and sparkling jewelry, all while her son, Junior, was reportedly sleeping on someone else's couch. The contrast was painful to look at. Online, she was shining, loud, fearless, thriving. Offline, the people who loved her most were crumbling under the weight of her choices. And at the center of that storm was Junior. A baby who did not ask to be born into chaos. A baby whose first memories might not be lullabies, but shouting matches and flashing police lights. You can almost feel the ache in that thought, that somewhere, a child is learning what love looks like through the lens of conflict. But this is bigger than one messy family. This is about cycles. Cycles of trauma, neglect, pain, passed down like an unwanted heirloom through generations. You grow up in chaos long enough, and it becomes home. You confuse dysfunction for devotion. Maybe Tranche was trying to break that cycle in her own way, by protecting Junior from the neglect she saw coming. Maybe Chrisean was trying too, thinking fame could be her escape, her redemption. But the truth is, you cannot heal from something you never had a chance to understand. That is why this story hurts so deeply. Because everyone here believes they are doing what is right. Chrisean thinks she is saving her son from instability. Tranche thinks she is saving him from neglect. Destiny thinks she is saving her mother from disrespect. And in all that saving, the one who truly needs protection, the child, is left unguarded. The police called it a domestic dispute. The internet called it drama. But what it really was a mirror. A reflection of what happens when love gets tangled in money, pride, and unhealed pain. Because this is not the first time this family has fallen apart. And unless something changes, it will not be the last. Even now, the noise has not stopped. Cryptic posts. Emotional live streams. Deleted tweets. Each one adding more gasoline to an already burning house. Some say Chrisean is fighting for full custody again. Others claim Tranche is lawyering up, demanding compensation for what she spent caring for the boy. No one knows the full truth anymore, because the truth keeps changing depending on who tells it. And maybe that is the saddest part, truth itself has become negotiable. Screenshots, receipts, clips, every side has proof, and yet no one has peace. Because the louder everyone yells to prove they are right, the further they drift from what truly matters. But through all the noise, one image stands out, a woman who never went live, never clapped back, never sought attention. My mother. The one who still steps in quietly when everyone else walks away. The one who buys diapers out of her own pocket, not because she has extra, but because her heart will not let her see that child go without. She wakes up thinking about what Junior will eat, whether he has something warm to wear, whether he feels safe. She goes to bed replaying the same questions in her mind, exhausted but unbroken. She is not a woman of excuses. She is a woman of endurance. Even when her body aches, even when no one thanks her, she shows up, again and again, because that is what real love does. And maybe she does not fully understand the emotional storm this little boy lives in. But she tries. And sometimes, trying is the purest form of love there is. If there is one lesson this story teaches us, it is that fame can amplify your voice, but it also amplifies your pain. Because when your suffering becomes public property, it stops being yours to heal. It becomes everyone's to judge. Everyone's to meme about. Everyone's to profit from. And the tragedy in that? Is that the internet will move on to the next scandal, but the people inside this story will still be living it. Junior will still wake up tomorrow, needing love more than clout. And this family will still have to decide whether they want to fight each other, or finally fight for each other. Because no matter how viral this story gets, no matter how many views or headlines it makes, the only thing that truly matters, is that somewhere out there, a little boy just wants to be held, not by cameras, not by fame, but by love that does not break when the live stream ends. And yet, despite everything, we get treated as if our love does not count. As if care has an expiration date. As if quiet sacrifices made off camera are invisible. Because while my mother and I pour our hearts into this child, sleepless nights, unpaid bills, prayers whispered between shifts, she turns that same child into a pawn on a chessboard of manipulation. She knows exactly what strings to pull. She knows my mother's heart, soft, selfless, predictable. She knows that no matter how much it hurts, my mother will always show up when that boy needs something. So she lets her. She lets her do the heavy lifting, emotionally, financially, spiritually, while she sits back and collects sympathy when convenient. It is unjust. It is manipulative. It is cruel. My mother's life has no pause button. Her calendar is overflowing, work, errands, appointments, but somehow, she still finds room for him in every single part of it. Wherever she goes, he goes. If she has $10 left, 5 of them belong to him. She does not hesitate. She does not second guess. Because to her, he is not a burden, he is her purpose. Most nights, he falls asleep in her arms, not his mother's. Most mornings, she is the one waking him, dressing him, teaching him kindness, reminding him that he matters. He lives more with her than anyone else. He belongs in the rhythm of her daily life, in her laughter, her worry, her faith. And when he is finally handed back after a few days away, he returns with nothing. No clean clothes. No essentials. No trace of care. Sometimes a little money comes through, Just enough to quiet the guilt, crumbs dressed as generosity. But consistency? Real effort? Real parenting? It is never there. So my mother covers everything. The food, the clothes, the doctor visits, the toys, the tiny comforts that make a child feel safe. She buys the socks, the jackets, the vitamins, the crayons. And she never complains. She just smiles, tired but resolute, because her love runs deeper than fairness. She is not seeking praise. She just does what mothers do, even when she should not have to. But her devotion has become ammunition. Her kindness, weaponized. Because when someone knows you will never stop caring, they can twist your loyalty into chains. They can manipulate you, and smile while doing it. She uses the child as leverage, dangling his well-being like a bargaining chip. That is not love. That is control wrapped in a performance. And the worst part? The child feels it. Even without words, he feels it. He may not understand betrayal, but he senses it, in the silences, in the arguments, in the way adults throw his name around like proof. He can tell the difference between love that feeds him and love that feeds on him. Then came the live streams, again. When Destiny spoke out, defending my mother, trying to bring clarity to the chaos. Chrisean snapped. She went live, threatening Destiny, shouting, promising to put hands on her. It was not just anger, it was fear disguised as fury. Because truth burns people who live in lies. The stream was pandemonium, comments flying, viewers picking sides, strangers dissecting our pain like it was a Netflix series. And just when you thought it could not get worse, Tranche went live too, spitting accusations that left jaws on the floor. She accused Chrisean of having chlamydia, and even worse, of allegedly infecting Junior with it. The internet exploded. Memes, reaction videos, debates. Everyone wanted to say something. But no one stopped to think about the child caught in the crossfire. A little boy, dragged through adult filth for entertainment. What kind of world does that create for a child? A boy who has already been rejected by his father, dismissed by his grandfather, mocked by strangers, and now, publicly humiliated by his own mother's chaos. How does a heart that small carry so much weight? Every rumor, every insult, every live video, carving invisible scars on a soul still learning what love is supposed to feel like. He cannot articulate the pain, but you can see it. In the way his laughter fades too quickly. In the way he clings tighter to my mother when people raise their voices. In the confusion that clouds his eyes every time his name becomes a headline. He did not choose this life. He did not choose fame. He did not choose to be the emotional punching bag in a war between adults who confuse control for love. All he wants is peace, stability, a home that does not break every time someone goes live. He just wants to be loved, without strings attached. And that's what my mother gives him. She does not care about social media. She does not care about fame, followers, or image. Her only focus is him, a child who deserves peace, warmth, and safety. She is not chasing attention. She is nurturing a soul. Every meal, every bath, every late-night lullaby, it is love made visible. While the internet laughs and